It's the last evening of your vacation. The sun is beginning to disappear beneath the horizon. The waves roll in slowly, almost rhythmically, as if the ocean itself has decided to breathe a little more gently tonight. Your friends are laughing somewhere behind you. Someone is taking pictures. Someone else is talking about where to eat. Afterward, for a brief moment, everything is exactly the way you've always imagined happiness would look. And yet, something feels strangely absent. Instead of watching the sunset, you find yourself reaching for your phone. I should take a picture before it's gone. You take one, then another, then one more. You look at the screen instead of the sky. A few seconds later, another thought appears. I can't believe tomorrow we're flying home. Then another. Monday is going to be stressful. Then another. I should really enjoy this while it lasts. And somehow, the harder you try to enjoy the moment, the less you actually experience it. By the time the sun finally disappears below the horizon, you realize something unsettling. You were physically there, but mentally, you missed almost all of it. If this has ever happened to you, you're not alone. It happens during birthdays, graduations, weddings, concerts, family dinners, first dates, even quiet. Sunday mornings with nothing urgent to do. You've probably had moments that should have become unforgettable memories. Instead, they pass by almost unnoticed. Then later, while looking at the photos, you quietly wondered, why couldn't I appreciate it when it was happening? Most people think they know the answer. I'm distracted. I spend too much time on my phone. I'm always overthinking. Those explanations sound reasonable, but they don't explain something much stranger. Why? Does this happen even when your phone is off? Even when you're sitting in complete silence? Even when there's absolutely nothing demanding your attention? Why can your mind leave the present even in the middle of the happiest day of your life? Maybe the problem isn't technology. Maybe it isn't stress. Maybe it isn't even overthinking. Maybe your brain has been doing exactly what it was designed to do. That sounds almost impossible. After all, shouldn't the brain help us enjoy life? Surprisingly, not necessarily. Imagine one of your ancestors standing near the edge of a river thousands of years ago. The water is calm. The weather is perfect. There are no obvious dangers nearby. Do you know what would happen if their brains simply relaxed and enjoyed the scenery? Probably nothing, most of the time. But evolution doesn't reward organisms for surviving most of the time. It rewards organisms for surviving the rare moments that matter. A predator hiding in the grass, storm forming in the distance, a rival approaching from behind. The individuals whose brains constantly scanned for what might happen next were often the ones who stayed alive long enough to pass on their genes. Slowly, generation after generation, the human brain became less like a camera recording the present and more like a forecasting machine trying to predict the future. That ancient system still exists inside every one of us. Only today, instead of searching the horizon for predators, it searches tomorrow's calendar, next week's meeting, an awkward conversation, an unpaid bill, a medical appointment, a text message that hasn't been answered. Your environment changed. Your brain's operating system didn't. And that's the first plot twist. You don't struggle to enjoy the present because your brain is broken. You struggle because your brain was never built to stay there for very long. Its primary job isn't to experience this moment. Its primary job is to make sure you're still alive for the next one. Which raises an even more fascinating question. If your brain is always looking ahead, then why does it spend so much time replaying the past? Why does an embarrassing conversation from 5 years ago suddenly appear while you're brushing your teeth? Why does a mistake you can no longer change interrupt a perfectly peaceful afternoon? At first, it seems like your brain can't decide whether to live in yesterday or tomorrow, but that's only because we're looking at the wrong puzzle. The truth is, your brain isn't obsessed with the past, and it isn't obsessed with the future either. It's obsessed with one thing: prediction. And once you understand why prediction became your brain's favorite habit, you'll begin to see why the present so often slips through your fingers without you even noticing. Prediction, that's the word that changes everything. Most people think memory exists so we can remember the past. That sounds obvious, but neuroscience tells a much more surprising story. Imagine you're packing for a trip tomorrow. You suddenly remember forgetting your passport on a vacation years ago. Why did that memory appear now? Your brain isn't reminiscing, it's preparing it. Reached into the past because it believes the past. Contains instructions for the future. In other words, memory isn't a photo album. It's a prediction engine. Psychologist Endel Tulving famously described humans as capable of mental time travel, the remarkable ability to mentally revisit the past and imagine the future. More recent research suggests these two abilities rely on many of the same brain networks. Every time your brain reconstructs a memory, it is also helping simulate what might happen next. That means something extraordinary is happening every single day. When you think you're remembering, your brain is actually rehearsing. It asks, "What happened before?" only so it can answer a far more important question. How do we avoid making the same mistake again? Suddenly, so many strange experiences begin to make sense. Why does your mind replay an awkward conversation while you're taking a shower? Not because it enjoys embarrassing you, because it's editing the script for the next conversation. Why do you remember painful failures more vividly than ordinary successes? Because the brain treats mistakes as valuable data for future predictions. It isn't trying to make you suffer, it's trying to reduce future uncertainty. But then something unexpected happens. The prediction system becomes so efficient that it rarely takes a day off, even when nothing is wrong. Even during your happiest moments, you're sitting with your family at dinner, your child laughs, someone tells a story, everyone smiles. For a few seconds, you're completely present. Then, almost without noticing, your mind quietly slips away. How many summers like this do we have left? I should appreciate this more. I hope everyone stays healthy. I wish time would slow down. Nothing around you has changed. The only thing that changed was your attention. And that's the second plot twist. The biggest thief of the present isn't distraction, it's evaluation. The moment you begin measuring an experience, you stop fully experiencing it. Think about your favorite song. The first time you truly lost yourself in it, you weren't analyzing the lyrics. You weren't wondering whether this would become your favorite memory. You were simply listening. Now imagine hearing that same song while constantly asking yourself, "Am I enjoying this enough?" The question itself pulls you out of the experience. You become an observer of your own life instead of a participant in it. Psychologists sometimes describe this as a shift from direct experience to self-monitoring. Instead of giving your full attention to what's unfolding, part of your mind starts evaluating the experience itself. That evaluation consumes mental resources that could otherwise be devoted to the present moment. This is why some of the happiest memories in life aren't recognized while they're happening, only afterward. Years later, looking at an old photograph, walking through your childhood neighborhood, hearing a song you haven't heard in a decade, suddenly you realize, that was one of the best days of my life. At the time, it just felt like another Tuesday. Why? Because while you were living it, your brain was already busy predicting Wednesday. Here's the irony. You spend years believing happiness comes from finding the perfect moment. But perfect moments have been happening all along. Your brain simply wasn't designed to stop and admire them for very long. And that leads to an even deeper mystery. If prediction constantly pulls us away from the present, why do some moments seem to stop time completely? Why can an artist spend hours painting without noticing the clock? Why does an athlete lose all awareness of the crowd? Why can a child become so absorbed in building a sandcastle that the entire world seems to disappear? Those moments reveal something astonishing. Your brain can stay in the present. It just needs a reason to stop predicting. It just needs a reason to stop predicting. That reason has a name. Psychologists call it flow. You've probably experienced it before, even if you didn't know what it was. Maybe while playing an instrument, writing, cooking, running, painting, building something with your hands, or simply having a conversation so absorbing that when you finally looked at the clock, 2 hours had disappeared. Time didn't actually speed up. Your brain simply stopped measuring it. For a little while, the prediction machine grew quiet, not because it was switched off, because it no longer needed to search for what came next. Every ounce of attention was devoted to what was happening right now, and that reveals something remarkable. The present isn't something your brain naturally lives in, it's something your attention temporarily creates. Attention is like a spotlight. Wherever it shines, your experience becomes vivid. Wherever it leaves, your mind immediately fills the darkness with memories, plans, predictions, and possibilities. The problem is that modern life constantly teaches your attention to leave. Every notification whispers, "Look over here." Every headline promises, "Something important is about to happen." Every endless scroll trains your brain to expect the next interesting thing before you fully experience the current one. Without realizing it, your attention becomes restless. Not because you're weak, because your brain learns from repetition. The more often it jumps, the easier jumping becomes. But here's the third plot twist. Even if you removed every phone, every notification, every distraction, you still wouldn't automatically live in the present. Because distraction isn't only external, it's internal. Sometimes the loudest interruption is your own voice. I hope this lasts. I should remember this forever. Am I happy enough? Will I miss this one day? Notice the pattern. Even in moments of joy, your mind quietly leaves the experience to evaluate the experience, and evaluation always happens one step removed from life itself. Imagine standing beneath a sky filled with stars. One version of you simply looks up. The other immediately thinks, "This is beautiful. I should take a picture. I need to remember this. I wish I appreciated moments like this more." Ironically, the second person may care more about the moment, yet experience less of it because they are no longer under the stars. They are inside their own commentary about the stars. Perhaps that's why some of the happiest people you've ever met don't seem obsessed with chasing happiness. They're too busy living to measure how well they're living. And then there's one final mystery. Think back to your childhood. Summer. Vacations felt endless. A single year seemed enormous. Christmas took forever to arrive. Now entire months disappear before you realize they're gone. What changed? The clock didn't. Your brain did. Research suggests that novel experiences are encoded more richly than familiar routines. When life is new, your brain pays closer attention, creating denser memories. As routines become familiar, the brain becomes more efficient, storing fewer distinctive details. Looking back, those periods can seem as though they passed more quickly, not because time itself changed, but because fewer unique memories were laid down. Maybe that's why the present feels so difficult to hold on to. Not because life is moving faster, but because your brain has stopped noticing how extraordinary ordinary moments actually are. The morning coffee you've made 1,000 times, the walk home, the sound of rain against your window, the laughter around a dinner table. They disappear into routine, not because they lack beauty, because prediction tells your brain, we've seen this before, and prediction always pays less attention to what it believes it already understands, which brings us back to the beach where this story began. The sun is still setting. The waves are still reaching the shore. Your friends are still laughing. Nothing about the world has changed. The only thing that's different is you. This time, you don't reach for your phone. You don't ask yourself whether you're making a memory. You don't wonder how quickly tomorrow will arrive. For just a few seconds, you allow the sunset to be exactly what it is. Not a photograph, not a future memory, not proof that you're living a meaningful life. Just light fading into the ocean. And perhaps that's what the present has been asking of you all along. Not to hold on to it, not to capture it, not even to make it last, only to notice that it was here. Because the present never disappears all at once. It slips away one prediction at a time, and maybe the richest life isn't built by collecting extraordinary moments. Maybe it's built by finally being present for the ordinary ones you've been rushing past all along.